tonight. Mother Nature delivers a winter wallop on the province. What effect will body cameras have on policing as officers in our province start wearing them? And how one man is saying thanks and honoring Métis culture through tattooing.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, November 19th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. I'm Ethan Williams in for Sam McCagg. Thanks for joining us. The first major snowstorm of the season has blanketed much of Saskatchewan. Crews are working to clear the roads while drivers across the province are trying to commute safely. Jeffrey Tram has more on how people are digging out.
Snow is now covering much of the province, and while it has caused a lot of chaos on the roads, some say they're okay with it.
I'm loving it, actually. I love the season, so I'm enjoying the snow.
It's a bit much, but what can you do? Saskatchewan, right?
When I woke up this morning and I see the just white outside, it's crazy. It's a good experience for me, yeah.
Matthew Bryan recently moved to Regina from Jamaica. He's experiencing his first ever snowfall. Bryan says his research helped prepare him.
Coming to Regina, based on the research I did, I found out that this was one of the coldest provinces. So I had to do a lot of research, Googling stuff, asking people around, like, what should I wear, what should I buy, stuff like that.
On Monday night, Environment Canada issued a snowfall warning for much of southern and eastern Saskatchewan. People in Regina, Saskatoon, and Prince Albert woke up to 10 to 20 centimeters of snow on the ground, and it's expected to keep falling before tapering off overnight. All this snow has resulted in treacherous conditions out here. RCMP say over a dozen collisions occurred overnight. In Regina, multiple collisions were reported Tuesday, over 24 in Saskatoon. City crews are working to clear the snow. Drivers are being asked to slow down and give yourself more time to get to places. And if possible, use winter tires or you could end up stuck.
Inflation, no money.
No money.
Slicks forever.
While the snow may bring misery to some, it can also bring out the best in people. Jason Lucas was using his snowblower to help clear the sidewalk outside his friend's business. He says helping people out in the winter is something he's always done.
Yeah, well, just doing a good deed, right? Figure you'd live longer. Do a good deed, you'll stay above ground, right?
Jeffrey Tram, CBC News, Regina.
And here's a look at some of those snowfall totals that we've seen. This is as of Tuesday morning. Strasbourg picking up about 13 centimeters. Regina, we got about 10. Near Saskatoon, a station reporting about 8 centimeters. And again, this is as of Tuesday morning, so we've seen the snow continue to fall and accumulate even more since then. That snow continuing through the evening hours on Tuesday through much of southern and central Saskatchewan. It's starting to lighten up a bit through south and central, but snowfall warnings have been expanded into the north as some snow will be heading that way over the next couple of days. So for southeastern Saskatchewan, another maybe 5 to 10 centimeters of snow overnight for total accumulations near 10 to 15 centimeters. In the winter storm warning, looking for an additional 10 to 20 centimeters. Could see upwards of 50 centimeters there by the time all is said and done. And various amounts through tonight and tomorrow into Wednesday through much of the north, with snow even continuing as late as Friday into far northern sections of the province. I'll have more on your forecast coming up in a little bit. And as the snow and cold weather arrive in Saskatchewan, nonprofit organizations are trying to find solutions for people needing a place to stay warm. Saskatoon's Prairie Harm Reduction began operating 24 hours a day Tuesday and for the next week in an attempt to keep people off the streets. The organization says there aren't enough supports in place for those who need them.
Everything's full. There's no room, there's no space in any other place for people. Like, there are so many houseless people out there. People have nowhere to go. There are tent encampments, like, that's people's solution to their problem. And like, we'll be open for the next little bit, 24 hours, but still that's not a long-term solution. It's right now, this is what we have.
Randall says the city should have been better prepared to support homeless people this winter. Prairie Harm Reduction is asking for donations of blankets, jackets, toques, and mittens. Body cameras on RCMP officers are making their debut in the province. They're meant to bring a more modern and accountable police force, but not everyone agrees they'll make that happen. Liam O'Connor has more.
The RCMP detachment in Fort Qu'Appelle is the first in Saskatchewan to start using body cameras. The rest of the province's RCMP will see the body cams phased in gradually over the next 12 months. Video will be captured during certain interactions with the public. Des Standing Ready's brother was shot and killed by RCMP more than a decade ago. An inquest declared the death by RCMP shooting to be a form of suicide, but Standing Ready says he still wonders what really happened that day his brother was shot.
I replayed this scenario in my head 100 times. Like, I've had sleepless nights thinking, well, what happened here, what happened there, what was said, like why did they respond? Like, there's so many questions in my mind that I think the body cams at the time would have answered for me.
Standing Ready thinks the cameras are good and a step toward reconciliation.
For me, it would provide accountability to a lot of the families that have questions and the what ifs of the situation.
The Saskatchewan RCMP say the cameras will modernize the force and bring more transparency and accountability, but not everyone sees it that way.
Body cameras are one of the most dangerous developments in modern policing, and they certainly will not create more transparency and accountability. And in fact, exactly the opposite.
Kara Katsanis says police want body cameras for many reasons, including to be able to record people in public, like during protests. He thinks cameras are a way to protect police against their own liability.
Nobody in the policing world thinks that the purpose of police body cameras is transparency and accountability. Everybody in the policing world understands that the purpose of police body cameras is surveillance and power.
RCMP say the footage will only be released to the public on an exceptional basis because of privacy laws in Canada. So in most cases, people will have to file an access to information request to see their interaction with RCMP. Liam O'Connor, CBC News, Saskatoon.
There's been more reaction this week to dozens of scurvy cases in a northern Saskatchewan community. The provincial NDP says it highlights the need for cost of living relief. Last week, a team of doctors revealed they treated 27 cases of scurvy in the Larange area in less than a year. Scurvy is caused by vitamin C deficiency and can lead to serious health issues if left untreated. The doctors say the unusual number of high cases could be related to high grocery prices and access to fresh produce in northern communities. Opposition MLAs say the high cost of living is leaving families with tough budget decisions.
People in northern Saskatchewan are needing relief, not just in northern Saskatchewan, but every corner of the province. A way that the government can action that right away is by suspending the gas tax, putting more money in people's pockets so that they can afford $20 grapes or $18 jugs of milk for the interim. People are needing the relief right now, and so that's what we're calling on the government to do.
And those prices mentioned by McPhail come from photos taken on Monday at a grocery store in Stony Rapids. Ukraine marked a grim milestone Tuesday, 1,000 days since Russia's full-scale invasion. People in the capital of Ukraine lit 1,000 candles. Thousands of Ukrainians have died and millions have fled the country since Russia launched its invasion. And today, a new potentially dangerous stage of the war began. Ukraine started firing American-supplied longer-range missiles into Russian territory. Russian President Vladimir Putin responded by lowering the threshold for a nuclear strike. It now includes responding to even conventional attacks by any nation that is supported by a nuclear power. And in the Saskatchewan legislature today, a ceremony was held to commemorate the Ukrainian famine of the 1930s, also known as Holodomor. It is Holodomor Memorial Week, and a candle was lit and will remain lit for the rest of the week. From 1932 to 1933, the Soviet Union undertook a deliberate famine on Ukraine, which has been referred to as genocide by Canada. In 2008, Saskatchewan became the first jurisdiction in North America to recognize the genocide. The current war's 1,000-day milestone was also reflected on today.
I guess I'm disappointed that it is 1,000 days, because I did not believe after the first pushback by Ukrainians to stop the invasion by the Russians, I believed that it would end much sooner, that there would be much more assistance from nations, especially Western nations, that would force the Russians to understand that Ukraine is a democratic country and that we must preserve that nation as a democracy. So I'm disappointed that it's been 1,000 days.
Following the ceremony, flowers were placed outside the building where a statue commemorating Holodomor stands. The statue was unveiled in 2015. Regina's newly elected mayor, Chad Baczynski, shakes hands with his new city council, sworn in at City Hall Monday night. Baczynski defeated former mayor Sandra Masters in last week's municipal election. 8 of the 10 councillors are also brand new. A similar ceremony in Saskatoon for their new mayor and council will be held Wednesday. Stay with us. We're back after the break. Welcome back. A tattoo artist in Regina wants Métis people to show their inner strength on the outside. And to get things started, he held a marathon tattoo session. And our Louise Big Eagle was there.
Nolan Malbuff inks a flower on his sister's arm. She's a frontline community worker from the north. The Métis tattoo artist says the flower symbolizes more.
There's a resilience and a fight in flowers. There's a resistance to die in flowers. And that's why they're so important, and that's what I resonate with. And to use art, you know, you put a cultural symbol on somebody, you're reinforcing that, hey man, we're still here. We're still here and we'll continue to be here.
Malbuff was a teacher for 15 years, then quit to pursue his art full time. Now, in a good place in his career and his culture, he's ready to give back. On this day, he's giving 100 free tattoos to Métis frontline workers.
And this is the only way I knew how to do it, is just to say thank you on a grand level, on a grand scale, so unorthodox, so different, and to show people that we don't need anything back to be generous.
Métis flower with 2 strawberries.
Malbuff designed this tattoo for Shanna Cardinal, a mental health therapist.
I just think expressing yourself and having some of your culture identified on your body, and I think, you know, my daughter who's also here, she said it's her own type of therapy. Even though I'm a mental health therapist, it is my therapy.
This woman helps the inmates at the correctional center get in touch with their culture. She says this is a beautiful opportunity.
It's about reclaiming my heritage. My culture has been lost, and we're in the works of bringing it back alive.
Scintilla Bubb is a grade 7 teacher in Regina.
And for me, it's empowering, it's healing, and there's lots of prayers that go into tattooing, and so it's really important that we can reclaim this part of our identity, and that I can walk every day, you know, proud of the tattooing on me and these markings on me.
Well, I want them to walk away with a sense of pride. I want to say thank you to them for the hard work that they're doing.
Malbuff says his goal is to remind the Métis people how resilient and beautiful they truly are. Louise Big Eagle, CBC News, Regina.
Well, singer-songwriter Jeffrey Straker is well known in Saskatchewan, but now his music has one very special fan across the pond. Straker recently got a message from King Charles applauding his music.
If you don't take a different path, you're never gonna. Back before the coronation of King Charles, I got a message from the office of the Lieutenant Governor and his staff asking if I would come and perform some songs at the celebration at Government House. And I said, I'll have to think about that. Yes. And then they said, would you consider writing a song to help mark the occasion? And I had to think about that, because I thought, that's really hard. A, I want to do a really good job. But B, it's a hard task to write a song to celebrate the start of something, because you can't go through the list of things that have been accomplished, you know? Try to leave this place a little better than what we found. Just a little bit better than what we. And the idea is we all have a duty to leave this place better than we came into it. When the Lieutenant Governor said that day, he said, you know, I really like this song. I'm going to Buckingham Palace. I'm going to tell the king about it. You know, that's pretty crazy. But in a way, I guess from doing music long enough, you kind of like, not to diminish what he said, but I mean, people say a lot of things in the moment about songs. I kind of thought, well, that's great, you know. And I didn't think too much of it. He actually heard it, and then for him to say that he was really moved by it, it was a letter to the Lieutenant Governor, and as part of that letter, there were these words to me that got communicated back to me, and it was really short. It just said, you know, I was moved by the song and moved by that the song was on this album. It's certainly, you know, it's way up there in the list of things I never expected would happen.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. Year-end clearance is on now.
Well, the skies have started to clear up a bit in Regina and southern Saskatchewan, but now, of course, the wind is picking up and it's blowing all of that light snow that has fallen all around and causing some visibility issues here and there on roads, too. Sitting at a temperature of -6. We've actually been falling through the day in Regina. And as we take a look at our outlook board, we can see just how big this system has been, this low-pressure system centered over about Winnipeg right now. It's been rainfall in parts of Manitoba and northwestern Ontario, but that heavy snow will continue to move sort of eastward throughout the overnight here, tapering off, though, for many locations, with the exception of northern Saskatchewan. This system actually kind of retrogressing or moving backward a little bit over the next couple of days here, and that'll bring some heavier snowfall through much of the north, especially into the far north as we get into tomorrow. Still going to be a cloudy, cool, and windy day through much of south and central. We won't get any real substantial clearing probably until we get to Thursday or so, but even still, northern Saskatchewan still seeing some pockets of snow even until then. Then south and central, the story turns back to us as another system begins moving in early on Friday morning. So just from this kind of the remnants of this system, I think we're only looking for a few more centimeters in much of south and central. I think even that 14 centimeters around Moosomin is a bit of an overstretch. But up in east central Saskatchewan there, yeah, another 10 centimeters probably is possible, at least through the night tonight. And then as we head into northern Saskatchewan, that takes us through the supper hour Thursday, and definitely 15 to 20 centimeters in northeastern sections there is to be expected. A little further west, you can see how amounts really start to drop off there, and near the Alberta border, we're not looking for quite as much. But as I say, winds really going to get going as we head overnight Tuesday into Wednesday here. A couple of models suggesting over 100 kilometer-an-hour gusts in extreme southeastern Saskatchewan around Estevan. Still going to be a bit of a gusty one tomorrow, and then finally those winds start to die down as we head into Thursday. That'll cause, again, some visibility issues on roads through the evening hours and overnight into early Wednesday. But for the commute tomorrow morning should be a bit better, although highways likely still going to be a bit dicey here and there as the snow remains on the ground. For Regina, again, that -9, probably going to feel quite a bit cooler with those brisk northwest winds tomorrow, and temperatures even dropping back a little further bit to round out the work week. We get into next week, and we're still looking at temperatures into those minus double digits. Might not quite crack that mark. For Saskatoon, we'll see the sun come out likely over these next few days, but then could be another 5 to 10 centimeters with that next system that is rolling in on Saturday. A Greek man who uses ancient techniques to create pottery is having his work added to UNESCO's list of intangible cultural heritage. His pottery is rare because he produces the clay from local soil and uses a traditional kiln and olive pits as fuel. He also paints with natural lime. UNESCO's intangible list includes customs most at risk of disappearing and is designed to protect traditions that are passed from one generation to another. Stay with us. We'll have more news after the break. Canada's inflation rate jumped last month. An increase was expected, but the October number was even larger than forecast. Statistics Canada says inflation rose to 2% last month, up from 1.6% in September. The price of gasoline, groceries, and rent were the main contributing factors. The increase is not expected to halt the Bank of Canada's interest rate reductions, but it could see the bank slow down the pace of those cuts. The central bank's next setting is scheduled for December 11th. Well, the snow will begin tapering off in many parts of south and central tonight as we look at temperatures around kind of -10 to closer to -15 if you're out west, where we might actually see a little bit of clearing overnight tonight. Into northern Saskatchewan, though, that is where that snow continues to move in. Again, another 5 to 15 centimeters for many locations, especially in the eastern half, closer to the Manitoba border. Some temperatures dropping below -15. That's kind of where we'll start things tomorrow, and you can see that system continuing to work its way, just kind of stalling out almost through much of the north. And we may still see some sunny skies through parts of the day out further closer to the Alberta border, where temperatures will hang back into those -teens. But where the snow is falling, another 10 to maybe 15 centimeters, especially in far northeastern sections of the province. For south and central Saskatchewan, again, clearing starts to move in to west central and southwestern parts of the province. The snow will really begin to taper off, I think, in east central Saskatchewan by the noon hour tomorrow, but some flakes still flying here and there. I think it'll take a little while longer for us to get clearing in eastern sections, but it is expected to be quite a windy day, as you can see through many locations. So those temperatures feeling much cooler than what you see on the map there. And that is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask. Subscribe to our CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel, or you can download the CBC News app. Thanks so much for watching. Stay warm. Have a great night.